The audience immediately went silent. Who? Mu Fengchun? Gale? Alvin? They were among the most famous people in the scientific community in today's world. Mu Fengchun and Gale were figures of authority in the mathematics academic field and held great achievements in the field of physics. Alvin, he was a figure of authority in the field of basic theory of physics and the vice-headmaster of Aslan's Academy of Sciences. Was it a joke? Why would they come to Earth? However, Wang Zheng was not pulling a prank, and these three esteemed individuals stood up from the back of the auditorium. Everyone had been looking forward and had not paid much attention to the three old men sitting at the back of the auditorium. They truly seem like what we've seen on television. It's true, Gale looks just like Colonel Sanders of KFC. Instantly, everyone was looking at their Skylinks. It really was them. Suddenly, thunderous applause and raucous cheers could be heard. Everyone was hyped up. What was this about? This was equivalent to having the most famous scientists from around the Milky Way galaxy visiting Ares College, which was a difficult feat even for the Academy of Science of the Solar System Federation. Guo Donglang was dumbfounded. Obviously, he was aware of the three of them. It was just that they would not know about him. Gale walked directly towards Guo Donglang and scrutinized him. Where did you come from? Do not act as though you understand when you don't. Cough cough asterisk, Professor Gale, this is the head of the physics department of Beijing University. The head of what? Head of comedy. How could this type of person even dare to be a professor? He would only lead the students astray. Gale was famous for being direct with his words and would not hold back his words for anyone. Forget Guo Donglang, he would even insult Dong Shuiwu without failure. Who did he think he was? This was a classic example of someone asking to be reprimanded. Even Mu Fengchun could not hold back and said, if you want to learn new knowledge, you will have to learn how to be a person first. If you are so narrow-minded, how can you even be a professor? If you were in Aslan, you would have been fired long ago, said Alvin while shaking his head. No wonder the academic fields on Earth were progressing at such a slow pace. With these types of people at the helm, their talents would have been greatly restricted. Let's go together, Xiao Fei, said Alvin with a smile. After you, Professor, said Xiao Fei. Alvin was Xiao Fei's professor when she was in Aslan. The education structure on Earth was too rigid and inflexible. More effort was spent on scheming against one another than research most of the time. The five of them went up on stage. No one would have thought that Wang Zheng's class would have attracted three heavyweight figures. There weren't any people paying attention to Guo Donglang anymore. Guo Donglang had decisively chosen to faint. Damn. There wouldn't be a better time for him to choose to faint. With four heavyweight mentors on stage, everyone thought that Wang Zheng would just sit at the side. However, the situation was exactly the opposite. Wang Zheng was the one directing the flow of the discussion. Initially, the five of them were discussing in simple terminologies. However, this changed quickly and they started using various mathematical and physics theories. There were even calculations done on the spot and quarrels broke out on several small issues. A lecture that was supposed to last for an hour lasted for a whole 5 hours instead. Even the walkways of the lecture hall were filled with people. The capacity of the lecture hall was 1,200, but more than 2,000 people were squeezed into it. There were even more people standing outside the windows and using their Skylink to take pictures and record videos. Some time ago, Wang Zheng received news from the Genesis Club that Mu Fengchun and the rest were coming to Beijing. Wang Zheng thought that they were joking when they said that when they were in Roland Garros. He didn't expect Gale and Old Man Mu to actually be serious. Wang Zheng had mentioned to them that he would be giving a lecture. He did not think these two mischievous old men would attend his lecture and had kept this matter as a secret. This resulted in the situation today. If Guo Donglang knew that Old Man Mu and the group would be coming, he would not have staged this commotion even if one was to kill him. Initially, the discussion between the five of them was within a reasonable scope. However, Alvin was intrigued and excited by Wang Zheng's hypothesized deductions. He was the leading researcher in the field of 13 dimensions, and it was not that he had not considered what Wang Zheng had talked about. It was that he did not have a clear thought of it initially and he did not expect Wang Zheng to be serious about it. Clearly, this conversation would last more than 5 hours. Alvin couldn't help but laugh. When Gale and Old Man Mu told me about you, I always thought that they were exaggerating. Today, I finally see that the new generation will exceed the previous generation. Professor Alvin, you are flattering me. I have learned a lot from today's discussion. All right. You two should stop flattering each other, laughed Gale. What did you want to say, old man Mew? Genesis Coffee will be organizing a scientific games week in Beijing. We welcome everyone's participation. Research is a very interesting matter, said Mu Fengchen with a smile. He had always been a proponent of integrating scientific research with entertainment. The main aim of his trip to Earth was to do some promotion. When a scientist had reached a certain realm of thinking, he would not be restricted by geographical boundaries. The place had been engulfed with cheers. This was an event for the various colleges in the solar system. The meaning behind it was great, and it would create a great environment in the academic field for a long period of time in the solar system. The students would also find out that Wang Zheng was the youngest member of the science club that had the world's best scientists. Being a teacher was just a simple thing to him. As for Guo Donglang, things weren't going as well for him. The supervisory department of Beijing University had started an investigation on him and had found that he wasn't just plagiarizing students' theses and receiving bribes. He had also attempted multiple obscene acts and rape attempts on female students. This matter had entered criminal prosecution procedures. Basically, he would be spending the latter half of his life in prison. Mu Fengchen and the rest were actually on a tight schedule. Since they were visitors to the solar system, they had to pay visits to various places. After all, there were other colleges under the Milky Way Alliance, and they couldn't just ignore them. However, it was clear that Mu Fengchen and the rest were trying to help Xiao Fei build up her authority, and it really wasn't about helping Wang Zheng. Ji Yute had expressed the attitude of the school for the whole incident. This wasn't about putting up a show. The pursuit of knowledge required a relatively peaceful environment. Various media companies had controlled their reporting. They had placed more emphasis on the improvement of the environment for the pursuit of knowledge on Earth. Inevitably, Wang Zheng became famous within the school. In fact, this wasn't something new to him since his excellent performance during the last college's exchange. What was strange for him was when he was suddenly greeted as Professor Wang by some beautiful ladies while he was walking in school. It was a surreal feeling. It was as though they were calling out to everyone else but him. In fact, it kind of felt great. In the CT Earth region, an upgrade pack was released and available in the market. 90% of the contents were expected and were revealed in the test server. New skins for Mecha, upgrade packages for the new Mecha from the Arbiter Republic, new landscapes, updates on new maps, data and corrections for the simulation system and others. Everyone wanted to experience the new content from the update package. The rich players naturally bought all the new mecha and skins made available in the new update package. Qin Rong was one of these extremely rich players. His main account had achieved the Diamond 1 rank. Although he was using the Twin-Winged God, it wasn't enough to fully carry the team in the Diamond League. This was despite the fact that his real abilities had reached the level of Diamond 5. He was testing out the new mecha from the Arbiter Republic at the very first opportunity. The opponents he faced after every major update were mainly using new mecha. As he had an account in the trial servers, he would be able to rely on those experiences and enjoy himself in actual battles. Qin Rong was having a lot of fun. This was especially the case for the new maps. Having played in these maps previously in the trial servers, he was making full use of his knowledge about the small details of the new maps to dominate his opponent. As he was playing, someone from the opposite end had opened a public chat channel to him. "Hi, God, I'm a girl, please carry me." Attached with it was a video channel request. Qin Rong was delighted about a girl approaching him. He opened the video channel. It was indeed a beautiful girl. She had rosy red cheeks with a pair of beautiful eyes. Although it was due to makeup and the effects of a cosmetic lens, she would still definitely be classified as a beautiful girl. "Girl, you seem cute. Add me as friend later and I will carry you," said Qin Rong with a smile. The important thing wasn't that the girl was beautiful. With his wealth, he had seen various types of beautiful girls. The main point was that this girl was attracted by his skills. When the first game ended, Qin Rong left the game and saw the invitation to be friends that was sent by the girl. He accepted the invitation, started another game, and invited the girl into the game. The joy of carrying a girl wasn't about what happened afterwards. To be frank, even if the other party wanted it, Qin Rong might not be interested. There were simply too many beautiful girls waiting for him. What he was interested in was the feeling he got from this ambiguous relationship. As he was piloting the new mech from the Arbiter Republic, he was carrying the girl while destroying similar new mecha that were used by the other players. However, the girl he carried to victory wasn't the same as those he met in most other times. After a round, she invited another girl who was even more beautiful. The account was Platinum 3 rank, but her level of play would most likely be at Silver 3. Qin Rong had a feeling that he would not be able to carry the team. It was already a close game in the last round, and he had to rely on his regular set of moves to steal a win. At this time, a login notification appeared. This was a real pro player who had been playing with him. "Prince, let's go play a round. There's 2 beautiful girls with me." It was the one and only pro player, Prince. Prince was delighted and said, "Brother Rong, are you being flirtatious again? Hee, give me a moment. I still want to test out the new mech." "Still testing? Didn't you test it in the trial server?" There was the sudden introduction of the Wind God mech from OMG in this new major update. Looking at the introductory video, it possesses a unique movement ability. The strongest point about the Prince's famous technique, the 1-2 combo, was that it was a high-speed movement technique that could allow him to move long distances in an instant. In addition, one could choose the direction of the movement as he wished. Even if the opponent knew about the move and was guarding against it carefully, he would still be hit in the end. It was just simply an unblockable move. Now there was a mech that was said to have such an extreme movement ability, and it would not depend on one's individual skill like Prince's specialty, the 1-2 combo. There were many people who wanted to learn it and had even made Prince their master. Prince did not hold back and taught them everything he knew. However, the results only showed the existence of talent in this world. OMG, where is this company from? Aslan. Qin Rong could not believe it. If it was real, wouldn't the world be filled with princes? Prince smiled and said, "It isn't from Aslan. OMG is from Earth, the manufacturer of Hercules. I do hope that it is real. It might just be the destined mech for me." Prince was sincere when he said those words. In order to use his signature move, he was forced to use the War Emperor V and to equip himself with the electrical halberd. If the other party banned the use of his mech, his ability would instantly decrease by 30%. If was able to use another mech that could execute his signature move, the opponent's plan to ban the use of certain mecha would be severely affected. To ban him from the use of 2 different mecha would also compromise his own team's options. In such a case, Prince would have more flexibility in deciding a strategy. Qin Rong laughed. "Let's do it together, then. No matter how the mech turns out, with you as my teammate, we will be guaranteed a victory." In his mind, he thought to himself, OMG, I remember it now. They're a manufacturer of agricultural use mecha. Why the heck are they meddling with military-based mecha? Prince had logged into his other account used specifically for testing out new mecha. While testing out the new mecha, he would likely have various flops. To let his teammates down while he was playing his main account just wouldn't do. Moreover, if he was to try to carry Qin Rong in his main account, the opponents he would face would be terrifying. He wouldn't be able to carry them at all. However, since he was on his alternate account, Prince was not as worried. It should be alright. Although he had only watched the introductory video for the Wind God, he would still be able to carry his teammates at this level no matter how bad the mech might be. After all, he was a champion. Prince was full of confidence. He had opened the introductory video about OMG's Wind God again to try to better understand it. The Wind God was smaller in size relative to other ordinary mecha as was introduced in the introductory video. As for its available weapons, the main weapon was the retractable bladed fist used in close combat and the regular laser gun. It lacked effective long-range capability and was classified as a close combat, scout-type mech. The core system was called the Magnetic Source Displacement System. The projection device was found within the arm. The magnetic source device could be projected outwards. Once shot out, the magnetic source device could project a claw to fix it into a specific position. Within 3 seconds, the magnetic source device would emit a strong magnetic field. Together with the core device found in the Wind God, a resonant attraction effect could be achieved. With control of the mech's engine and the use of the attraction force from the resonance of magnetic fields, one would be able to achieve a terrifying extreme movement speed similar to the effect of warping. Compared to the 1-2 combo, the distance traveled would be further while being a quicker and more elegant movement. It would indeed be more impressive. Prince nodded. This was the main reason he was interested in this new mech. However, when one had a beautiful dream, reality would often provide a rude awakening. After 10 minutes, boom, Prince was attempting to use the magnetic source device for a displacement movement. However, he was barely able to dodge the attacks of the opponent as he slammed himself into the ground with the magnetic field. What the hell? You called this displacement movement? The speed in which one moved over was so slow that everyone else would know the direction of your movement? He was basically a moving target board. What crap was this? Magnetic source displacement system? It should be renamed to moving target system instead. After slamming himself into the ground, he continued to roll across the ground to avoid the attacks coming at him. It made Prince embarrassed. Prince was able to avoid the opponent's attacks. This was the 5th time he failed in utilizing the displacement movement. The magnetic field from the magnetic source device and the core device within the Wind God mech were indeed able to achieve an instantaneous displacement movement effect. However, the instantaneous burst was something that was hard to coordinate. Even if one was able to control the engine, the speed of the displacement movement when executed wrongly was at the level of a moving target for a computer. In his 5 attempts, Prince had relied on his own ability to move away embarrassingly from the attacks of his opponent. The unique point about this mech was the displacement movement system. Its ability to fight in a solo match was average. Its speed and agility were also average relative to other scout-type mecha with no advantages whatsoever. In fact, its firepower was even weaker. In the public channel, the opponents had begun to taunt Prince. Ha ha ha, what an interesting feeder. Even the way he fed was lively and worth watching again. This match, Prince and Chin Rong were defeated. Although it wasn't his main account, Prince was still able to reach the top ranks within the Diamond 1 League. After facing these opponents and failing to carry the two girls blinked at each other and went silent. Prince's face was livid with anger and said, "Let me try it out again on my own." Damn, could it be that it was due to him not being able to control it well? This was something that Prince could not agree with. The two girls said in unison, "Let's do it together." Chin Rong was startled for a moment. He thought that the two girls just wanted to be carried and would have fled when the situation didn't feel right. However, they had decided to stick together. The girls weren't dumb. They knew that it was the champion Prince from the video feed. Even if they were to lose some points today, they could earn them back in the future. Moreover, he was a champion. To lose while accompanying the champion and trying out new mecha wasn't much of a big issue. When girls played the game, what they focused on wasn't the different ranks and levels. The few of them had made up their minds and started round after round together. Prince had also made up his mind to train himself in the use of the new mech. However, the more he trained, the more he felt that it was impossible. Of course, there were times when he succeeded in achieving high-speed displacement movement. However, after the displacement movement, the mech was either facing the ground or had its back facing the enemy and not the desired attacking position. When he tried to adjust the mech, it was too late and the opponent would have pounced on him directly and killed him with their knives. Similar scenarios were happening everywhere as everyone tested the new mecha. It was also happening in various leagues. Among those who felt that they were the pros among other players, after trying out the new mech from the Arbiter Republic, they couldn't help but feel great about it. Although they weren't too familiar with it, the performance of the mech was truly outstanding. After a few rounds, its winning percentage had reached 60%. For a new mech that no one was familiar with, this was already an outrageous number. After a while, they found out that there was another new mech included in the update package suddenly. OMG's Wind God? OMG, wasn't that the company that focused on the production of agricultural-based mech? Although they were rather famous recently, they were still known for producing mecha. After the pros, who had additional money to spare, watched the explanation guide, they couldn't help but start to curse. The displacement movement of the mech was too cool and impressive. They decisively decided to try it out. After their trials, they couldn't help but feel like cursing endlessly. After all, they were still professionals. Although they might not be famous, they were still known by others. One could easily recognize the ids of these players. However, once they tried using the Wind God mech, they were flopping around in various ways. These were flops that were absolutely disgraceful. After a night had passed, the forum on the official CT site exploded. There were thunderous and incessant insults about the mech. Are they making a joke in the new update? How could such a weird thing manage to find its way in? I tried using it till I was demoted, and yet I couldn't successfully pull off the displacement movement even once. What kind of crappy mech is this? Rubbish. OMG, This comment had been automatically censored due to the use of vulgarities. CT, are you sick? How dare you introduce a prototype mech with an even more impressive introductory video on its abilities, scammers? These types of comments weren't deleted by the forum administrators immediately and was left untouched for 5 minutes before being deleted. A widely recognized management account, Wan Li Yuan, had also posted a thread after the incident. He wrote, "I was able to perform displacement movement consistently after dropping from Platinum 1 to Platinum 5. However, the speed." Below was an embedded video. The speed was probably slightly faster than just pushing the mech at full speed. It was totally useless. This video was just the beginning. Various other videos emerged and most of them were trolls with OMG's company logo. OMG, oh my god, please focus on the production of tractors. Really, don't try to venture towards the military use mech market. After which, OMG's official site was also under attack. Although it wasn't breached, the comments section was down after a DDoS attack. Get out of the harsh military use mech market. 20th Corps has come to spam your forum. Similar slogans and calls were on over 10,000 different web pages. OMG's website administrator could only stop comments from being left on the website. However, this had resulted in the loss of confidence of potential customers who had real inquiries. The implications were getting wider and more serious. Solon had never foreseen that there would be such an intense outcry, nor that there would be so many huge problems with this mech. Even Prince had expressed concerns over the displacement movement and said that it would require a huge amount of time to practice. His other account had dropped from Diamond 1 to Diamond 5 before he had some insight on how to perform it. However, he had only managed to pull it off successfully 3 times out of 10 tries. The CT executives had also heard calls from their competitors about this. Furthermore, Solon had just risen to his current position. The first thing he did had essentially triggered a magnitude 10 earthquake. Was he really fit to be in such a role? Although his past results were solid, had he become too arrogant? The introduction of the prototype mech was slightly overwhelming. However, when it came to business, this was not a big issue. Even if the performance of the mech was inferior, such a situation should not have happened normally. Solon was not an inexperienced greenhorn. His intuition told him that as OMG wanted to enter the military use mecha market, it had likely triggered some competition. Under normal circumstances, CT would have preferred to maintain good relationships with all the companies as it was beneficial to both parties. There was no need to offend anyone because of OMG. Although these other companies would not protest overtly, they would show their displeasure through alternate means. However, as this matter involved Skeleton, it was a completely different situation altogether. Although Solon was able to hold on, Yi Zissou was suffering from a lot of flack herself. Emergency board meeting. Due to the need for major capital funding for OMG's recent rapid expansion, their shares had become more diluted and widely held. If all the directors decided to pool their shares together, it could result in a major impact on the company. Too eager to achieve success and short-sightedness, we were in support for military use mecha. However, as a start, why did we go with something as uncertain as this? Why didn't we use a successful and stable mech to penetrate the market? Such risky strategies are only used by those unknown small companies. Have we, OMG, become reckless too? To be able to secure the distribution channel through CT was a huge opportunity. However, the mech isn't ready for it and the opportunity was wasted. It wasn't simply just a waste. This will even have huge impacts on the reputation of OMG. The normal operations of the official website were affected and various retailers have indicated a fall in sales. Such a big proposal should have been given to a more experienced designer. Although we could all acknowledge the talents of Yi Zissou in design, She is still a student after all and should start by learning, said the head of the design department calmly. Yi Zisu's plan had resulted in the weakening of his authority indirectly. The opposing party, who had held back for a long time, had started their barrage of attacks. Yi Zisu's establishment of the sales channel through CT had resulted in them losing face previously. However, this might have turned out to be a great thing for them. The little kid must have been dreaming and thought that success could be achieved easily. Investors did not want the Yi family's dominance in OMG to be further intensified. They had also been using the slow process of wearing them down to gradually seize control on operating decisions. After all, Yi Bingwen couldn't be sitting in that position forever. As long as they could dismiss the idea of Yi Zisu succeeding the business, other shareholders and management would lean towards the investors in consideration for the future of the company. Yi Bingwen was frowning and took a look at Yi Zisu, who was sitting at one side. Enough. Since the incident has occurred, it will not help even if you continue to ask more questions now. This was a new endeavor. Although a failure is still a failure, if we did not even dare to attempt, how could we talk about becoming bigger and stronger? For now, let's concentrate on how to solve the problem. What thoughts does the PR department have? Yi Bingwen had spoken and the directors went silent. Yi Bingwen still had some authority and awe in the company. However, if this matter wasn't handled well, Yi Zisu would likely not be able to intervene in the company's affairs in the future, especially in the important R&D department. In fact, the rationale behind everyone dwelling on this incident and playing the blame game wasn't to be objective but was to make use of the incident to suppress the Yi family's prestige and authority in the company. By doing so, their own prestige and authority would increase by a certain level. Fighting over control rights and scheming against one another wasn't unique to a big company. Of course, this had to be done within the confines of the rules and kept behind the scenes. Yi Zisu bit her lip and kept silent. She was still feeling confident about it. The data from the experiment was still within her expectations. The head of the emergency PR department spoke again. The current situation has not reached the stage where it is unsalvageable. After all, it has only been on CT for a week. I recommend that we immediately stop this mech model and take the initiative to admit our mistake by announcing that the Wind God isn't a mature prototype. Being on CT was for the purpose of collecting more data and we would never allow such an unstable and uncertain mech to be available on the market. Taking the initiative to admit their mistakes and lowering their position might be able to gain some sympathy votes. After all, it was only available online in CT and had not reached such an unsalvageable point in reality. As they were talking about the details of the solution proposal, the head of the PR department received a Skylink message. He scanned through the message and his face changed. There's a live news channel and I feel that everyone should take a look. As they spoke, they switched on the large screen on the meeting room and connected it to a television news channel. Eurozone Chronos Mech Design Academy, Deputy Chief Designer, Professor Cronin. A sentence of words appeared at the bottom right corner of the screen, explaining the position and identity of the person in the screen. This was a news report regarding OMG's Wind God. Initially, it was just ordinary news. However, the other party was able to invite the deputy chief designer of the Chronos Mech Design Academy for the show. The level of influence changed in an instant. The Chronos Mech Design Academy was the property of the Chronos family. Its influence wasn't limited to just Earth, but the entire solar system. Cough, cough. I have heard that the chief designer of the Wind God is a little girl called Yi Zisu, who is the only daughter of Yi Bingwei. All I can say is that OMG was too immature and short-sighted by placing family succession first. This is against what is expected of a large company and enterprise. In the face of his daughter's request, Yi Bingwen's brilliant reputation was irrevocably lost. Cronin said calmly and confidently. However, if the high-speed displacement movement system is achievable, could it be a cross-generational innovation? Rumors have it that the data shows that the Wind God is able to achieve it. It would be right theoretically. In general, the direction is correct. I believe that Miss Yi has taken inspirations from Atlantis Mecha and the data release might show that it is possible. However, data is dead. Practical assessments are the barometer for everything in reality. Practically, we couldn't just try to achieve displacement movement for the sake of displacement movement, right? We shouldn't just discard everything for the sake of the end result. Mecha aren't data toys. To become a qualified mech designer, just having ideas is simply not enough. It is necessary to have the brains to determine the direction based on various considerations. It was incessant criticism from someone standing at the highest point. In the meeting room of OMG, Yi Bingwen's face turned livid. He waved his hands, switched off the television, and said, "Enough. We shall leave it to the PR department to handle it. The Wind God project will be suspended. There is no need to suspend the operations with court. Since the problems have surfaced, we should just take this chance to expose all the problems so we can improve upon it and decide on the next move." Yi Zisou moved her lips but wasn't able to say a word. She couldn't say anything. The board meeting was dismissed and the investors could be seen laughing. These sly old foxes were wearing smiles at this juncture and were even trying to encourage Yi Zisou. Yi Bingwen was able to regain his composure now. To suffer setbacks in business was to be expected. "Zisou, are you feeling a bit depressed?" There was only the two of them left in the meeting room. "It was all my fault," said Yi Zisou. She had never expected the implications to be so widespread. A new mech model having problems was a normal situation, but... "Zisou, this matter isn't directly about you. Whether the mech is good or bad, we have opponents both internally and externally. This is what business is about. It isn't enough to just close our eyes and focus on doing our work. No matter whether it is a success or a failure, this will be a very good trial for you. You are my daughter and I believe you will be able to get through this." Yi Bingwen said this with a smile. Only those who had experienced major ups and downs in life could still smile at this juncture. However, Yi Bingwen did not try to say any other things. Zisou would still have to overcome this herself. Yi Zisou was just a little girl with passions and dreams, however, her thinking was too naive. Mecha were ultimately practical machines. Once the mech model was produced, there were still many external factors to consider. The Kronos family had almost monopolized the entire military industry. However, the way they did their business was too ruthless and did not give any chance for others. This was also within the expectations of Yi Bingwen. However, if the company wanted to develop further, this was a step that must be taken and this type of pain had to be experienced. Standing outside the window and looking at the despondent Yi Zisou, Yi Bingwen let out a sigh. In fact, he had expected it to become like this. However, this would be a trial for Yi Zisou, and if she could overcome it, there would be nothing too difficult for her in the future. Wang Zheng felt a little strange when he received a Skylink message from Yi Zisou. From his impression of Yi Zisou, she was someone who was always optimistic. It seemed that something had happened this time. "Zisou, what was the issue? Why didn't you give me a smile when you saw your Professor Wang? That was kind of disrespectful," Wang Zheng said while pretending to be serious about it. However, it seemed that this joke wasn't too successful. Yi Zisou's eyes swelled up and turned red. She could no longer hold back and tears flowed down quickly. Wang Zheng was most afraid of girls crying, especially if she was his close friend. He clumsily tried to look for tissues, but he did not have any such things. "Don't cry, Zisou. Tell me who bullied you. I will go teach him a lesson." This was the first time that Yi Zisou had lost control. She had expected too much recently and was under too much pressure. After crying for a while, she saw the clumsy looks of Wang Zheng and couldn't help but smile and said, "I'm sorry." "Look at what you're saying. You're not treating me as your closest friend. What happened? You're making me even more anxious by not telling me anything," said Wang Zheng. "Oh, damn, whoever dared to bully Zisou, I will kill him." Yi Zisou shook her head slightly and let out a sigh. She forced a smile and said, "It seems that my first model will end up as a failure." Yi Zisou told Wang Zheng about the incident briefly. Wang Zheng was able to understand immediately. He had been busy with his work as a professor recently and had forgotten about this matter. "When I compared the introduction video you showed with the data provided, it didn't feel that it would end up in such a way. There might be other factors, but the practical usage of the mech was indeed not very good. For a girl to enter the world of mech design, the pressure she faced had to be very great. In the world of mecha, the norm was to have no girls around." "Oh, really, as your best friend, I haven't even tried out your first model design. Let's go. Let this ace mech pilot test out the performance of the mech," said Wang Zheng. "You, oh, right, forgot about it. said Yi Zisu as she just remembered who Wang Zheng was. Wang Zheng brought Yi Zisu to the brothers' net cafe. The boss of the cafe took a long stare at Yi Zisu before secretly giving Wang Zheng a thumbs up. This guy did have some capabilities. Wang Zheng was too lazy to explain. As he entered CT, he thought that Solon was rather efficient and serious in his work and had uploaded the new mech design. It was truly because of him that Solon had done so. Although this type of mech did not have any special decorations and looked ordinary from the outside, it was consistent with Wang Zheng's design and idea. It was also very comfortable. Yi Zisu looked at Wang Zheng quietly from the side. Wang Zheng had entered the mech and both of them chose a practice map. The wind god was running and hopping around the practice area, getting used to the mech. "How is it?" asked Yi Zisu as she was still flustered. She had suffered too huge a blow, and Wang Zheng was her last ray of hope. Wang Zheng kept quiet. A lot of effort must have been put into designing this type of mech. The designs of the limbs were extraordinary. More accurately, this type of mech could not be operated using the usual methods. Just like the Slayer, this type had unique steps. Zoom. The magnetic source fired out, hitting right on the wall. Wang Zheng used the speed from the launch and his own strength to control the mech just as the magnetic force erupted. The force was greatest in the first 2 seconds of launching. By the 3rd second, the force would weaken. Beyond that, there was no need to even think about getting away. Thus, quick response and good judgment were needed to be executed in alignment. Otherwise, the attempt would cause a deceleration or even fail to fire. F***ck. Wang Zheng could not help but curse. What kind of damn steps needed to be taken to use this mech? Zoom. Zoom. Rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat. Zoom. 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 A mech flashed like a phantom across the training area. Yi Zisu teared up, though with a smile on her face. Solon was calm. The OMG matter did not affect him much. At the very most, there would be some doubts, but in this day and age, who wouldn't be doubted? It was merely a drizzle, nothing more. The Skylink rang. A message. Another round of questioning? He couldn't be bothered. That ringtone. Solon jumped. Damn, it was Skeleton. Skeleton had sent him a message. God. Despite his high rank and authority, Solon was riled up. But upon seeing the contents of the message, he was stunned. Increase the promotional efforts for the Wind God mech. This weekend, I'll be using this one mech to defeat 100. What? Did this mean that Skeleton thought highly of this mech? But both veterans and amateurs had already expressed a thorough rejection for this type of mech. Using one to defeat 100, battling 100 mechs would be a mini troop battle. But in a mixed battle war like this, he wanted to beat 100 all on his own? Was that a joke? April Fools? Wails and cries erupted in the office, startling the workers outside. The CEO seemed emotionally unstable these days, so it would be wise not to provoke him in any way. Under CT's new product column, there was yet another product that wowed countless players. The silver version of OMG's latest Wind God mech. This was CT's own mech packaging. There was no difference in functions and specifications, just using colors to create a special effect, making it more glamorous and eye-catching. But only celebrities and highly recognized mecha pilots would recommend such a flamboyant skin. Wind God? Was that Solon being arrogant and foolish? This silver model turbo mech was decorated with a huge OMG logo in the middle. Normally, the sale of new designs would see the highest rate within the first 24 hours of release. But for this model, the number of sales after 24 hours was 1. Everyone wondered who this one good Samaritan was. Rumors and gossip were all over the forums. Did Solon and OMG have some kind of beef? They were definitely pushing OMG into the deep waters, but it seemed problematic. Since he was the CEO of court, he could not possibly act so irrationally, using his authority to start a project with the sole purpose pissing off others. Plus, every project would have to be audited at the end of the year. Even though he wouldn't get into any trouble for doing whatever he liked, it would nonetheless leave a bad impression on the board of directors. It didn't seem like something a logical person would do. Yet it happened. OMG was holding frequent internal meetings, and this time around, Zisu didn't even show up. Yi Bingwen was under a lot of pressure. The PR department had sent out an emergency request for OMG to take this model down. Yi Bingwen initially wanted to hold on to see if things would change for the better. But given the turn of events, they had to pull all the stops or the consequences would be unbearable. Surprisingly, CT had rejected to do so and requested to execute the contract to completion, with no room for negotiation. Yi Bingwen and most of the people in the board of directors had sensed that something was off. Their competitors had made a move, from sparking an attack in the very beginning, to forcing them to push on ahead. They had calculated every single step to corner OMG. Business was war. It was dangerous to let your enemies, especially such powerful ones, get a hold of any opportunities. The Kronos family was blunt when it came to companies that had an interest in entering the military use industry. But they did not expect that their opponent could place them in a passive position just by using a simple trick. In reality, from planning to execution, OMG had taken 10 years to prepare, and they made a move only after their space exploration projects received attention from the Milky Way Alliance. Their preparations were ample, but nobody had expected them to hit a block with just the first step. Yi Bingwen was someone who had been through a great deal. In the face of these obstacles, he was able to remain calm. Since they had a problem with their rivals, they could not simply take their product off the shelves. An arrow fired would never return. They had to work on the mech itself. At the board meeting, Yi Bingwen raised his voice. Since those people are out to battle, we will call for a war. Get R&D to collect whatever info they can and fix it. Since there was no way out of it, they could only face the music. If they lost, they'd pull out of the military business. If they won, they'd have a new market and their opponents would, in turn, have promoted their cause. At this stage, it wouldn't work if they didn't show some gusto. When the meeting ended, Yi Bingwen contacted Zissou. Hey, lass. I'm sure you've heard about what's happened with court. Looking at it from a different angle, it could well be a good thing. Since there's no way out, we'll fight them head on. How confident are you with the design? Truth be told, Yi Bingwen was a good father. He did not want his daughter to research mecha, neither did he intend to make Zissou take over his company. He was fine with having a professional manager taking care of things. But unlike other girls, his daughter had a strong interest in mecha from a very young age. It was not something he nurtured as a father. Zissou was indeed extremely talented in designing mecha. Yi Bingwen was only helping his daughter realize her dreams by putting in time and financial support. Seeing that Yi Zissou had nothing to say, Yi Bingwen sighed. It's really stressful this time around. If we can't break into the market, the R&D plans will have to be cast aside. Would you like to see a good show, Dad? A good show? Yi Bingwen was not in the mood to watch any shows. From now on, you shall stay out of all of this. Don't interfere. Let it develop all on its own. You'll see results not too long from now. The R&D team will be taken care of. We've successfully applied for a patent. Have faith in my design, said Yi Zissou. After hanging up on the Skylink, Yi Bingwen was bewildered. His daughter's voice had regained confidence and calmness. Yi Bingwen shook his head. He had no idea what this girl was up to. Could it be that she was the one behind this CT incident? Yi Bingwen had different beliefs from others. Ordinary parents were terrified of their children making mistakes, so they would stop them from doing many things. But Yi Bingwen disagreed. He believed that people grew from making mistakes. As long as the path was right, it didn't matter what his child did. Mistakes were good. Moreover, who was to judge these things anyway? Back in the dormitory, Yi Zissou was reading all the negative comments with zest. People had made the wind god sound completely useless, saying that there was hope for it to win the Worst Design Award. To top it off, there were even tabloid journalists who wanted to interview her. Bad news always traveled fast. Zissou, are you all right? Why are you reading such things? These people just want to watch the world burn, said May. As her best friend, May was worried something bad would happen to Yi Zissou. Yi Zissou smiled. Don't worry. Criticisms are also forms of encouragement. Some of these comments make good sense too. They can be used as feedback for improvement. May stared. She had heard from Yan Xiaoshu about what happened at OMG. This was OMG's first and most important step for its plans in the future, but they'd already taken a blow. For big companies like that, it was not merely a failed project. The reactions that followed could cause serious repercussions. This project was led by Yi Zissou. If she failed, she'd have to be responsible for it. It's really fine. The final winner isn't out yet. Yi Zisu's eyes shone brightly. Boss, what are we having for dinner, Tony? This is interesting, OMG, digging their own grave. Fatty Fei was Li Er's most faithful follower. His number one concern was food, but when Li Er stared at him, he changed the subject immediately, when, in fact, he had zero interest in international affairs. Li Er had just finished reading the report he received on his Skylink, a farming tools company with big ambitions. Too bad they're heading in the wrong direction. Yeah. Luo Fei nodded his head vigorously. He could now understand how scary the competition was in the military tools industry. Attacking one another was as common as mealtimes. But it is strange. Why would CT promote it despite knowing it wouldn't work? Does OMG have other rivals? Li Er glanced at him coldly. Once the Kronos family took action, everybody else could only stand by and watch. If the CT incident was not done by his people, it could only be Solon himself. It was a pity the men he planted there had been asked to leave. OMG itself? They were that confident about this mech? Li Er had an odd feeling. He liked watching his prey struggle, but he didn't like it if they did something he couldn't understand. Maybe they're taking a gamble, Fatty said to himself. Li Er nodded. It could only be understood this way, but he still could not shake that odd feeling off. Boss, any rewards for doing well at IG? Fatty asked, gleaming. Who are you eyeing this time around? Can you have a little backbone? Last time, you only asked for an autograph. What a waste. Li Er could not stand him. He thought Fatty wanted to do something obscene, so he had paid $5 million for it. That one night had a huge price tag. Surely some things could not be achieved with wealth. The status of the Kronos family was key. Nobody dared offend them. Luo Fei scratched his head. I wanted to do something, but the moment I saw her, I lost all my energy and soul. I was left with just skins. Li Er laughed. He had forgotten that Luo Fei's ability was in the phase of rapid advancement and that he could finally see what others were capable of. Women like her were simply flesh and bones with a rotten soul. No one with ability X would be interested. At Ares College, Wang Zheng and friends were getting better in their group training. Their equipment might not have been the best, but that made them cherish it even more. They would pay more attention and feel things in greater detail when operating the mechs. After 2 hours of training, they were all hot and sweaty. In Zhang Shan's case, using ability X once a day was pretty good. But this one-time use was important. He had to pay close attention and get it right based on memories and grasp it well. After all, Zhang Shan was no simpleton. Well, somehow I feel that I perform better with Wang Zheng around. The ability flows through better. Zhang Shan said as he gulped water down. I feel so too. Same. Meng Tian and Zhang Runan chimed in agreement. Wang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or to cry at this. Don't look at me that way. I'm not cake. Wang Zheng was aware that his ability had awakened, it was just that there were issues when he used it. For some reason, his ability X was too powerful. His body could not take it. It was okay if you were to use mental strength, but when it converted to ability X, things were tougher. This could also be the reason why he hadn't made any breakthroughs in the past. It was his body's defense mechanism. Right now, only training the primordial regression technique could help. Even then, the effects are pretty good. This time around, we will stand a chance in a fight. Zhang Shan was full of ambition. Let's hope that you'll be able to move a meter when the battle begins. Otherwise, we'll just be there to watch others fight, Zhang Runan said. Making the mech move was a heavy burden for Zhang Shan, but he was making improvements every day. Ha! Sister Nan. Hey, did you guys notice? Sister Nan seems to have become more good-looking. Are you itching to be beaten up, Zhang Shan? Zhang Runan raised her brows. Really, I swear to the heavens, yeah, nicer, gentler curves. Hee hee. Are you guys looking for a treat? Alright then, dinner's on me. Long live Sister Nan. Zhang Runan knew that her ability was stabilizing. Just as Zhang Shan said, Wang Zheng was like some sort of energy source, enriching those around him. Deep inside, Wang Zheng knew that this was actually caused by his powerful ability causing a reaction in others when used and amplified in the surroundings, and not some kind of enhancing ability. If only he could use his ability as he wished. It would be such a wonderful thing. The war god Bonehead talked about would truly exist. That night, the official CT site made an announcement that went viral instantaneously. Never was there ever a public announcement that could go so crazily viral that in just half an hour, close to 10 million people had replied. Skeleton wanted to take on 100 people on his own. The officials wanted to pick 100 candidates from Earth to take part in this battle. This was definitely something that would make people go nuts. 1 against 100? Was that even possible? The answer was definitely no. No one type of mech could withstand a battle like that. Had he never heard of concentrated fire? No one could blow up a mech with just one shot, let alone the worst laser guns. Close combat? Everybody would be using laser rifles. Even if they were to stand still for you to attack, the mech would run out of energy. If it were anyone else, everybody would think it was an act of an insane person, but this was Devil King Skeleton. The entire Earth region was impassioned. More accurately, players from the moon and other areas were all fired up. They had all flocked to sign up, but it was limited to Earth players only. Other areas could only watch. Who was the most excited? Who was the most agitated? Who remained the most logical? Old Deer. Only Old Deer. The Deer God had decisively sent out an invitation to everyone in his district. It was time to put Skeleton's winning streak to an end. He, the legendary, undefeatable Deer God, was finally making a move. Old Deer had made it clear long ago that the day he took action would be the time Skeleton's tale would come to an end. He wanted to take on Skeleton one-on-one, a one-on-one battle with 99 bodyguards. Still a one-on-one. The best part was, he had obtained 50 places from Solon. Of course, it was unclear what methods he had used to get hold of them. The conditions Solon laid out were simple. Ranked above Platinum, more than 2 years of battle experience, whether they were solo or team players didn't matter. Qualified players were randomly selected. The lucky chosen ones would get an opportunity to end Skeleton and become a war god. Want to take on a leading role? Bring it on. Old Deer's deep voice had attractive qualities in it. Never think that Old Deer lacked supporters. On the contrary, his fans had formed a group called the Deer Isle, and Old Deer was the isle's owner. Countless players went crazy over these 99 places. This was going to be a grand event. The major forums had calculated and put up the winning rates. Apart from the Shadow Executioner MK, there were no other mechs that possessed solo battle capabilities that could accomplish this. Plus, it would be highly stressful since a carpet search could be conducted within the conventional battle maps with 100 people. Moreover, Old Deer was a truly deserving leader. Given how well he understood Skeleton, he would definitely come up with a strategy to deal with him specifically. Old Deer had given word that he would definitely defeat Skeleton. If Skeleton could beat him under such circumstances, he would drink 100 cartons of milk. An average person would be killed with less than 100 cartons. Old Deer was betting on his life. Was there a need for that? If he were to back out, he could forget about staying on in the commentary industry. Was he just so confident? Or was that pre-battle pressure? The amount of attention this battle was receiving was unprecedented. It had far exceeded everything else. Of course, the Skeleton Corps did not take that lying down. Being the largest group in the solar system, with members from many other districts, they were also busy recruiting spies, instigators, all sorts of tricks and strategies, commenting on all types of mech. 10 versus 100 would do fine, but 1. Even if the technology existed, it couldn't be put to use. Was it just a joke that had been taken too far? Spies, instigation, it could all be a joke. But everyone just could not seem to come up with other possibilities. Hercules, courting death, war god number 1, not even close. Gold Guardian, Dream On, Slayer. No, the Slayer would be useful for moving in short distances, but the movement was limited to a straight line and it wouldn't be quick enough. With 100 mecha to battle, it would only mean death. Jungle Scamper, probably the only one with some hope. But the settings would have to be a jungle, one as huge as possible, for it to pull tricks and mount sneak attacks. Yet, it still wouldn't be reliable. It'd be done for if the opponent used a couple more scout-type mechs. The entry requirement was to be platinum rank. One-on-one battles may require finer techniques, but in this case, platinum would be more than enough. Those who managed to make it to this level possessed good understanding of mecha and had their own opinions. They were actually pretty solid players. Was that insanity or the ways of a god? The Milky Way Alliance Science Representation Team, led by Mu Fengchun, had completed their academic exchange and visit to the solar system. Their unexpected visit was a huge form of encouragement to the solar system's scientific world. The press conference was held on the moon and was attended by scientists from hundreds of different areas of study. Mu Fengchun was on the chairperson's seat, answering question after questions posed by journalists. Professor Mu, what do you think are the differences between the scientific environment here in the solar system as compared to that of the Milky Way Alliance? Mu Fengchun smiled and answered, to me, the concept of difference does not exist. Every district has its own bottleneck and development periods. Right now, the solar system is walking out of its slump. For example, in terms of space physics, the solar system has opened up a whole new world for humankind. Their great contributions make them the leader in this aspect. Clap 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 clap. Deafening applause ruptured. Given Mu Fengchun's status, his compliments were of great significance to the solar system's scientific world. And it affirmed the solar system's contributions to space physics. Following that, the other scientists reported their insights on this visit and commented on the results. They were all professional, scientific talks. When the press conference ended, the farewell party commenced. This visit was a successful and fruitful one. Many partnerships were formed. It could be seen as a step forward for the solar system's return to the stage of the Milky Way Alliance. Ai Tai, the chairperson of the Solar System Federation, also attended the farewell party, honoring the event. Professor Mu, the solar system welcomes you anytime, the chairperson said passionately while gripping Mu Fengchun's hand tightly, shaking it again and again. The elections were due next year, and in his term as chairperson, he had managed to form many collaborations with top-notch scientists like Mu Fengchun. Now he had many more things to emphasize and talk about in his campaign to run for the position for another term. Mu Fengchun replied, smiling, the solar system is very passionate about science. I shall visit again. Please do so. I will. After the chairperson, came the chief of defense, Yutok. Professor Mu, it has been very pleasant working with you. We welcome you back here anytime. Yes, I will. One by one, the officials shook hands and chatted. It wasn't just Mu Fengchun. The other scientists also had their hands shaken. On the other end, journalists and photographers from all over the solar system were taking pictures and recording this scene. It was an important moment for the solar system. It had been a long time since they last worked so closely with the top scientists from the Milky Way Alliance. The officials represented authority, and this news story would be fantastic in helping the public gain confidence. The solar system rising once more, regaining significance in the Milky Way in terms of politics and in science. The scientist representatives naturally played the most important role. Professor Xiao Fei, everybody knew for a fact that Mu Fengchun and the rest were all here because of her. On a deeper level, Xiao Fei and her team's potential had an extremely important place in the future of science. The solar system had 3 members in the top scientists club, and all 3 were in Xiao Fei's team. It seemed like the Solar System Science College had to find a new place. The grand event was broadcasted live across the entire solar system. The host of the live broadcast introduced the founding and latest developments of the solar system space project in detail. Once again, the whole solar system was shown the latest development of the space project in full. Little Fortune Star Company. On the stock market, in a mere 30 minutes, Little Fortune Star Company's stock value skyrocketed to the maximum threshold. OMG also came close to arriving at the highest possible value. This allowed OMG, who was troubled by the new mech developments, to take a short breather. Because of the negative impacts they had been faced with, OMG's growth in the future was not too optimistic, unlike small companies like Little Fortune Star that had a long way to go and much more room for growth. As of now, to this extremely fortunate small company, the owner's only trouble was how it should spend its money. No doubt, this trouble was in itself a blessing. When Mu Fengchun got into the ship sent by the Milky Way Alliance, it was finally quiet. He let out a long sigh as the ship slowly began to move. They left the moon's space station and were gradually guided out and away from the moon's gravitational field. Eyes closed, quietly resting. Or at least that was what it seemed. A ray of light invisible to the naked eye emitted from Mu Fengchun's skylink and scanned the entire lounge. Moments later, the skylink vibrated. Mu Fengchun opened his eyes and swiped the skylink screen, opening up the contact. Mr. J, voice confirmation. The screen split open and the voice was confirmed, opening the hidden contact, Mr. J. Dial. Bustling noises came through the skylink. A pitch-black screen opened up. Mu Fengchun perked up instantly. He was rather aloof when dealing with the chairperson and other officials. But now, his expression showed admiration. Teacher. Yes. I'm coming back. It's been done. Don't worry, the follow-up plans. In the history of mankind, whether in times of peace or war, there would always be groups with small numbers but with extraordinary power and influence. It was finally time for the second stage of IG. The original members and new members added up to a total of 72 people. This second phase was mainly focused on mech control. 12 people would be chosen to form a team to represent the solar system and compete for the title of Best Mech Warrior in the Milky Way. And of course, based on the results from phases 1 and 2, candidates would be chosen to run for the position of team captain, from which military representatives and team members would vote and choose their captain. This person would then, for a long time to come, represent the highest standards of the Solar System Federal Military College. Endless glory. Wang Zheng and friends received a notice. As Zhou Mu looked at the notice, tears welled up in his eyes. He wanted to say some words of encouragement, but in the end, he didn't say a thing. This group of youngsters were doing great. They'd be greeted by success wherever they went. On the other hand, Luomu remained calm. Believe in yourselves. Realize what you're capable of. You're all victors. That marked the end of training in college. The next 3 days were meant for them to rest and get ready. Luomu and Zhou Mu were going to get a drink. They'd done everything within their limits. Old pal, cheers to the kids' victory, Zhou Mu said, with an air of arrogance. Even though our conditions aren't great, these 4 children have put in their best. As long as they show what they are capable of, it'll be enough. Safety first. Luomu smiled. He was not a military man, so his way of thinking differed from Zhou Mu's. Zhou Mu burst out laughing. A hero alive and a hero dead. They have to do this with the spirit of fighting till death and show IG something different. Throughout all these years, IG had been manipulated by the same few forces. The network of talents and the resources to nurture them were all supported by big financial groups. The reason for Ares College's gradual demise was their lack of backing in this area. Gu Tei was not willing to let politics and financial benefits take control of the college, which, in turn, made Ares College suffer in competitiveness. This phenomena was becoming common. Had the common people completely lost their powers? Yi Zisu and Yan Xiaoshu were already waiting for Wang Zheng. There was a huge battle that night. Where's in May? Yi Zisu smiled. Shopping, Yan Xiaoshu replied. It was evident that Yan Xiaoshu held a tight lip about Wang Zheng's other identity. Even towards in May, many a times Yan Xiaoshu prioritized his brother over her. I heard that OMG was unable to have a say on internal matters. Zisu, I think it's time your family increases your stakes in the company, especially in financial terms. This thing will have a great impact in the later stages of the company's development. Yan Xiaoshu explained. A person grows and changes very quickly. Over the past year or so, Yan Xiaoshu did not merely fool around in school. He had learned a great deal, and his company's growth had opened his eyes to a world beyond. He was talented in this area, and he had his own views on certain matters. Easier said than done, said Yi Zisu. Hey, I've been meaning to tell you. I started a daughter company that has been buying your company's stocks on the free market. Of which, there are 2 major stockholder options, and they add up to roughly 20% of the total stock units. Coupled with the 39% your family owns, you'd have the largest share if the deal goes well. I'll transfer the stock ownership to you, Yan Xiaoshu said, gleaming. As OMG Company was faced with a series of problems, especially getting off on the wrong foot of the Kronos family, a number of stockholders considered pulling out, and Yan Xiaoshu took hold of these opportunities. Of course, the stock options itself involved some degree of financial risk. Seeing Yi Zisu bewildered, Yan Xiaoshu shrugged. All right, boss asked me to do it. You can pretend to know nothing about this. It's actually a good thing for my company, you know. We recently ran out of places to spend our money. Now we're also considered OMG shareholders, and that improves my status, haha. Yi Zisu was at a loss of what to say. The two people who were most neglected at school were now in such powerful positions. And Yi Zisu was no fool. This type of purchase and gamble was quite a hefty investment, and the risks were rather high. As for benefits, there would be close to none in the short term. If the OMG R&D project were to fail, the investments would never be recovered. Thank you. Please don't stand on courtesy with me. Our lives depend on boss's performance tonight. If he screws up, I may have to sell my body. Yan Xiaoshu chuckled. Of course, he was just exaggerating, but the risks did exist. Yan Xiaoshu's hands were tied when it came to his two best friends. Wang Zheng's gym card was not from him. His reputation couldn't make it. It was signed by Yi Zisu, but she never let him tell Wang Zheng. In fact, purchasing OMG stocks wasn't so simple. It was Wang Zheng. Yan Xiaoshu was not a prophet, so he couldn't possibly have known about OMG's internal affairs. Even though he had a way of doing business and was great at cutting deals, he could not predict or make big-picture judgments like that. Given Wang Zheng's intelligence, he would succeed in whatever he did. After understanding from Yi Zisu the circumstances of OMG, the key seemed to be prospects and stock value. At the same time, Little Fortune Star was faced with growth limitations since the tissue paper business would always remain as it is. Hence, this seemed to be a solution that would kill two birds with one stone. In terms of actual execution, this was Yan Xiaoshu's area of study. As for old Yan, since the success of the space project, he had put absolute faith in student Xiaoshu. After all, old Yan was not a professional at high-level business administration. He used to only sell nothing but tissue paper. But no matter how he tried to cover it up, all Wang Zheng wanted was to help Yi Zisu get past this tough time, and yet he didn't want to let her know. The two of them, really, life and love, who other than the heavens understood it? You're both early. Let's go. Let's kick some ass tonight. Wang Zheng chuckled. Boss, you better not let your guard down. Whether I become a wealthy man or a male prostitute, it all depends on this sale. Yan Xiaoshu acted like a poor creature. Options were a harsh mechanism. It would only work if OMG's stocks managed to rise immensely, and that was not easily attainable even if they got the best of news. With all these calculations in mind, Yan Xiaoshu felt that he had a 70 to 80% chance of success. Believing in the Demon King skeleton made a poor man rich. While he loved money, Yan Xiaoshu saw it only as a tool to make himself happy. He was not the currency's slave. Even though there was still some time before it began, several broadcasting companies' competition channels had already taken their positions in all of CT's designated spectator spots, broadcasting the event live. And from here on, a commentator was going to become a player. Old Deer himself had the abilities of a diamond-ranked player. Abilities and being team captain were not directly related, but as the leader of the Black Deers, he would not back down from becoming captain. This battle was amply promoted. At the same time, CT officials had put out $1 million Federation and a custom laser sword as reward for anyone who took down Skeleton. This was enough to make countless people fight with their lives. The chosen players took their positions very early. Other than Old Deer, there were 21 diamond-ranked players, 39 platinum ranks, and 39 silver ranks. The 99 players entered the ad hoc Deer Isle discussion forum. Old Deer was already full of vigor, gallantly giving instructions about his strategy. No kidding. He had been waiting for this day his entire life. There was no room for carelessness. He had to assign the troop with tactics and formation. My dear brothers, Skeleton will most likely be using the jungle scamper. But it does not matter. Who cares what he chooses to use? It is most important that we are well organized. You'll be split into 10 smaller teams. I've picked out the leader for each. Remember, follow your commanding officers and do not let Skeleton have a single chance. Now's your time to fight for fame and glory. Old Deer made his pre-battle speech in high fighting spirits. At that moment, he felt like a military general. Old Deer is right. Skeleton will definitely think of breaking the formation up. As long as we remain firmly in position, we will be fishing in a bowl. Yes, don't fight, don't rush. Our friend Skeleton is good at making use of the terrain, and he may even play mind games. This is his only chance, but if we stand firm, he won't even have that chance. As for who deals the final strike, leave that up to fate. Dear God has made it clear, whoever it is, we will all celebrate his victory. That's right. I, Old Deer, am betting my life. 100 cartons of milk can drown a pig. So, other than the killer, those who take part in the final kill will all get to have a show recorded specially by me. We will be brothers from then. Fight. Yes, fight. We have to persist in getting rid of his acts of heroism. The Ares Pact is a pact of teamwork and camaraderie. We will not back off, we will sink the boat. Kill, kill, kill. It may have been a team put together hastily, but the atmosphere and energy couldn't be better. Old Deer had already used a number of tricks to rile everyone up. Little Skeleton, it's time we put an end to things. Boss, VIP pre-orders are at 28 million, with VVIP making up more than 19 million. The staff constantly provided latest updates while Solon stood motionless. In actual fact, he'd broken into cold sweat, his back dripping wet with perspiration. Skeleton loved playing such extreme games, but Solon was getting old, and this was a tad too much for him to handle. This situation was well within his expectations. This battle would definitely attract countless gamers from the solar system. And even close to 1 million from outside the solar system. Just what mech will Skeleton be using this time? Jungle Scamper probably. I think the Overlord would be pretty good too. Escape using the rocket cannon at the right time. Tisk. Escape where? There'd be people all over the place. The map must be humongous for there to be space to move about. For 100 mech battle, even the largest map would have limited space for him to run. But even with so many people, there'd definitely be enough space to maneuver. I received insider's info that the Deer Isle is tactically prepared. They're splitting into 10 smaller teams and will maintain a lined formation to make sure Skeleton can't hide. Damn, that's harsh. 10 teams, 9 around the perimeters, and 1 at the core. Each team given their own commands, to avoid fighting on their own. The key to a team battle was order and discipline. The players were of high standard. Coupled with the significance of this match, it would surely bring something different to the table. Moreover, they weren't taking part just to lose the match, they were all here to vie for fame. More accurately, this was a manhunt. Wang Zheng and friends had booked a place long ago. The 4 of them could have swapped for a better venue, but they were used to this. Brothers Net Cafe put them in a better battle mood. Brothers Net Cafe was getting cocky. They renamed themselves to Brothers Club. The boss bought the next door over and expanded his business. Seemed like business had been brisk lately. The spectator hall was packed full of people. Wang Zheng and friends quietly crept into their own battle rooms. Right before they began, Yan Xiaoshu got nervous. Boss, please don't rush into things. There are so many of them, just take your time. Wang Zheng smiled. It was indeed a problem in the past, but it wasn't an issue now. In bitter fights like this, a huge problem was players getting too tired and becoming unable to ensure proper physical control and mental condition towards the latter half of the fight. But now, Wang Zheng was on fire. Now that Old Deer was taking part in the match and was being commented on, a temporary commentator took over. Chen Shu, Super Shu, was extremely well known in the CT circle. Yao Ailun and Chen Shu commenting was another way in which the Skeleton Core and Black Deer team took shots at each other. Student Shu donned an adorable outfit, instantly inviting screams from girls all over the place. What a pretty little cutie. Skeleton came online. Both parties entered the battlefield. It had begun. The first step was to pick out a map. It was bound to be chosen by Wang Zheng's side, no doubt, but Wang Zheng's choice made the spectators' hearts drop. Wrong choice. Shaky hands. City battle map. God damn, the jungle scamper would be beaten up like a stray animal. Solon wore a grave expression. He now understood the situation. It seemed like he was the only one who knew what Skeleton was going to do. The number of VIP spectators broke the 30 million mark, breaking all records held by professional and amateur games in the entire Solar System Federation. They also broke many other records, but all of these were unimportant. City battle map, 1 taking on 100. What sort of game was this? But it seemed like it wasn't a mistake. Chen Shu and Yao Ailun were commenting on all sorts of possibilities with high spirits, but the moment they saw the choice made, they turned silent. They couldn't comment further. No mech could work in this type of situation, only a jungle-type map with terrain that allowed for hiding would be useful. While buildings could provide shelter, he could be spotted in a glance. Entering the second step, mech selection, in that instant, those with weak hearts felt like they were going into cardiac arrest. A mech appeared on Skeleton's interface. A mech shrouded by public rumors. A mech described as the trashiest mech of all time. OMG's Wind God. The problem was, damn, it was the silver version of the Wind God. So bright and shiny, was he afraid that people wouldn't know his location? This was sheer provocation. That's the response to Old Deer's cry for war? But that's too crazy, city battle map plus the Wind God mech. The 30 million live viewers were all at a loss of words. A farewell match. On the other side, all sorts of high-end mech entered. My brothers, warriors, fighters, our era has dawned. Let us teach our little skeleton friend here a lesson. Fight! Boom! The mechs roared to life. The battle had began. On the blue-colored Deer Isle side, Old Deer led 99 bodyguards into the arena. That was his way of one-on-one. 100 different, shining mecha was still quite the sight. For live broadcasts, this team battle was the most unique type of team battle. Opposite, on the red-colored side, Skeleton's Silver Wind God took the stage. Boom! The shiny, brilliant rays were exceptionally glaring under the sun. It was as if he was worried his opponents couldn't locate him. Wang Zheng put the mech into movement. He still didn't have the opportunity to try things out since his ability X Awakening. Faced with so many opponents, it would take up a fair amount of energy on his part just to destroy the opponent's energy shields. This would be a good test for him to show his might. He had to figure out his limits anyway. Attention all teams. Fan out and advance. Scouts and supports, commence full search. Do not rush when you spot little skeleton. Surround him first, then act, capture the fish in the bowl. Old Deer's voice was loud and clear. In that very moment, the Deer Isle was energized. Skeleton pulled out his laser gun. Before the match began, 100 mecha may have been merely a numerical concept to everyone. But upon seeing the actual scene, they now understood how grand and imposing 100 mech warriors in a tiny city area was. Especially when these mech warriors formed up to conduct a search, it gave them a feeling of hopelessness. No mech could ever resist such a force. Just then, bam bam bam, the Wind God fired the laser gun into the sky. Deer Isle team, in the middle of their search, was stunned. Old Deer chuckled. Little skeleton has challenged us. Since he can't wait, let's not stand on courtesy. Charge. In that instant, 100 mech warriors moved towards the laser rays at high speed. 100 mech warriors activating in the city made them all feel good. The spectators were all impassioned before it even started. The target was just up front. When he was done shooting, Wang Zheng tossed the laser gun aside. What was going on? There were no comments in the live broadcast. Even Solon, who was aware of the situation, was now at a loss. Yan Xiaosu's jaw dropped. What was boss doing? He didn't want to go bankrupt, he wanted to be a wealthy man. Yi Zisu clenched her tiny fists. She knew what Wang Zheng was up to. But training was one thing, actually fighting was another. Many moves could change under external influences. Team 1 is near target. Other teams, surround. Don't let him get away, Old Deer commanded. Team 1 is within firing range. I am team leader Shi Shaoran. All team members activate energy shields. The leader of Team 1 roared. There was nothing strange about it. Shi Shaoran was indeed a masculine woman. She was bold, but she had a pretty face. She was rather well known in the CT world too. A diamond-ranked master and a famous host. Men would need a lot of courage to name themselves Shaoran. The girl carefully activated her energy shields, not giving Skeleton any chance to attack anytime soon. The instant they got around the building, Team 1 would be face to face with Skeleton. At the same time, the other teams were closing in, completely surrounding the area. Ready, fire! Shi Shaoran commanded. 10 mech warriors charged out of the building, intensely firing at the target. Where had he gone? He was just right on this street. They all looked up, only to find a mech warrior hanging on the top of the building right in front of them. The wind god was using magnetic force to hang off the building. He fell from the sky in an instant, and, in midair, opened his arms, activating daggers. The energy shields had a limit at. That was, they could only fight off what was in front. The top of the head of a mech was the most vulnerable part, but under normal circumstances, it was also the toughest part to attack. Boom! The wind god landed in the crowd. A scout mech exploded right away. The lasers roared and fired in the direction of the wind god. Do not open fire. Use swords. Lasers could not be put to full use in such a close range, and it was easy to misfire. Shi Shaoruan's sentence had just ended when a cold ray fell in front of her. What was that? Bam! A burst of magnetic force. Shi Shaoran jumped. Was that a toy? In that instant, the wind god charged towards her at light speed. Shi Shaoran instinctively struck with her sword. Zoom! The wind god did a backflip and landed with a kill. At the same time, he avoided all the attacks from the back. In the next instant, the magnetic force was deployed. Before the second wave of attacks was launched, the wind god flew off like a gust of wind and jumped right onto the walls of the building. He barely paused after landing, launching from the walls. Boom! The wind god descended at a high speed like an agile beast in desolation. The mech warriors in the team did not even have time to turn around. Boom! 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 3 mech warriors were taken down in that moment. The wind god did not even look at the energy shields, making his quick moves even more agile than before. Boom! 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 A sudden claw attack. Energy shields destroyed, killed. Shi Shaoran wanted to scream in rage, but she realized that nobody could hear her anymore. She had been taken down in the first round. The players from Team 1 closed in on Skeleton. Using energy shields in close combat was getting in their way. A tank mech shut off its energy shields and immediately found something stuck in its chest. And a silver ray struck. What the hell was that? Boom boom boom. A kick and a strike. Instantly taken out. Just as they thought he was going to make a run for it, the wind god flipped right back in and struck them. This was no mech warrior, this was a phantom killer. *T. I already told you guys to wait till we surround him before attacking. What are you guys rushing in for? Old Deer was furious. They had only just formed the formation and yet they saw that there was only one person left on Team 1. *T. Even if they were standing still and got hit, they couldn't possibly have died so quickly. Card Sleeve was the last person from Shi Shaoruan's team. From the start to the end, he could only see a silver light flashing back and forth in front of him. Then he heard a series of explosions. Unable to resist anymore, he pulled out his own shotgun laser cannon and started shooting in all directions. Come out, come out, come out. Suddenly, his leg seemed to be hit by something and he lost his balance. The wind god had already landed behind him. Card Sleeve felt as though his head was grabbed by something, and immediately after that, he was thrown outwards violently. Hong! The body flew out, its head missing. Zung! The magnetic source flew towards a distant roof. The moment the magnetic source flew out, the wind god mech took a forceful jump into the air. The magnetic source struck deep into the wall and instantly formed a gravity field. Wind god landed on the roof with a streak of silver light and disappeared. At this moment, the rest of Old Deer's team arrived, but the wind god was gone. This was the wind god in action, the worst design in history? This was more than just amazing, this was a super mech. This terrifying movement ability was comparable to that of Atlantis Mecha. Even Atlantis Mecha could not make such high-speed movements continuously. The more than 30 million people who were watching it live all opened their mouths in shock, they were all speechless. Was this the wind god? What they saw was the wind god flying around the city at high speeds, and it had managed to circle behind Deer's encirclement team in a very small amount of time. What is this situation? Is that guy flying? How could he be so fast? Stop your nonsense, turn around, go and surround him. Maintain a good formation, Old Deer shouted. Lovely was last in line. This was safer. Suddenly, someone patted him on the shoulder. *T, at this tense moment, just who could it be? Silver light streaked in front of his eyes. Boom, no good, skeleton is here, activate your shields. The silver death god was jumping around. By the time the rest had reacted, 3 mecha had already been destroyed. The other mecha instantly activated their energy shields and started to fight back. But the wind god had already reached the other side of the wall and, with a turn, disappeared behind the building. Go, 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 he's in the north. We will take the front, you guys go from the back. Hurry, hurry, hurry. The mecha flocked to the front. From the perspective of the audience, the wind god had already left like the wind. This type of movement was simply artistic. When the magnetic source was shot out, Wang Zheng strongly controlled the mech and the gravity field was activated. The optimal time to move was within the first 2 seconds. The timing must be calculated precisely or the gravitational force would be weakened and the speed of each movement would be slowed. Wang Zheng's eyes twinkled with golden light. He had already circled behind the pursuer's back. Not good, he's behind us. Hong. In just a few quick movements, he had circled from the back of the building to its front. He sped towards them, ready to kill. Their lasers roared, but the wind god's movements were much better than the war god number one's. The arc slide step combined with the magnetic source created a silver reaper. In less than 10 minutes, another small team was defeated entirely, and they had not even touched Skeleton's shadow. The problem was, the others did not even know what had happened. Old Deer was shocked awake. Everyone, gather. *T, gather immediately and keep your laser guns. Don't hit your own people. Turn on your energy shields and stay together. The remaining 80 mechas started to gather in Old Deer's direction. But it was not that easy to gather anymore. The wind god appeared again. Leader Deer, come to us, quickly, we need support. Finally, this time all of them saw Skeleton's wind god. He was slaughtering one small team by himself. Fox Chan lurked quietly. As the only sniper, he was waiting for a chance. No matter the time, a sniper was always needed at a crucial moment. When he saw that silver bolt of lightning shooting around the field, Fox became excited. This was his chance. His opponent had not activated his shield. Be calm, be patient, and wait for the best opportunity. This was definitely Skeleton's miscalculation. This was also a special arrangement made by Old Deer to pick him off. Wang Zheng's focus was highly concentrated on pursuing his opponents. Then warning signs appeared. In front of his eyes, there was an enemy escaping. At this moment, should he dodge? No. The magnetic source was shot out and then the wind god shot out like a burst of lightning. Fox Chan had already aimed in the direction of his teammate. He knew that Skeleton could not avoid the temptation of attacking the enemy. Yet at the moment Skeleton attacked him, he would meet his end too. The hearts of Chen Shu and his friends were nervous. The most frightening part of team battles was one's lack of attention to their surroundings due to the hectic pace of battle. Missing one small detail could lead to death. Hong. The sniper rifle fired. At this moment, the wind god had already rushed out. A problem with the magnetic source was that once it was out, it was impossible to change its trajectory and hence, its movement path could be predicted. Also, because the magnetic source consumed energy from the mech itself, the energy shield of the wind god was very thin and weak. If it consumed too much energy, then there would not be enough to recharge the magnetic source. This was also the reason why Skeleton could not activate his energy shield. It was not only because he was afraid of it affecting his movements. There was no doubt about the ability of a Diamond 1 level sniper. The instant he was kicked, the sniper laser hit. Hong. The laser hit the wind god. God. The instant the wind god kicked his opponent's mech, there was no collision sound as expected. On the other hand, it was as though it was stuck to its opponent. But a thin energy shield had formed on the surface of wind god. Bow. Sounds of waves, the laser was blocked. Field Battle Kid was shocked that he did not die even though he was kicked. That streak of silver light rocketed towards the sky. Fox felt that he was about to be hit. That streak of silver light was coming towards him. *T. 1, 2, and 3 magnetic sources were shot onto Fox's mech. Hong. Was this the same mech? The slow-motion camera immediately played back. At the instant Fox's lasers roared, Skeleton's wind god obviously turned. He was baiting the sniper. He had been on alert the whole time. Instead, he had merely kicked Field Battle Kid. The magnetic source's energy was not entirely consumed. After shooting it out several times and recharging it a few times, the energy accumulated formed a temporary energy shield. Yi Zissou was shocked too. This was indeed part of her design, but she never expected for such an effect. The principle behind the magnetic source recharging and the energy supply station recharging a mech was similar, except it was vastly weaker. At the moment where the source was fully charged, a little bit would overflow, creating a shield. As it was just a bit of energy that overflowed, the shielding effect would be weak. But to high-level players, this energy would not be wasted. Hong. After killing Fox, Wind God descended from the sky and, in a flash, defeated all his shocked opponents. Then he disappeared again. Many people from Deer Island watched this scene in shock. They were here to kill him, but they did not know why they had all stopped suddenly. My God, what was this monster? Using a mech with such super displacement abilities, with Skeleton's operating skills, how could they even put up a fight? Don't be scared, we have a lot of people. Each of us just has to hit him once and he will die. Gather, 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 Old Deer barked. They had lost 27 players already in this short period of time. It would not even be this fast if they were killing pigs instead. He finally understood why Skeleton chose the city map. In this city, the Wind God was invincible, instantaneous displacement, high-speed movement. His movements were mysterious. Hong. A magnetic source landed amongst another group of mecha. A streak of silver light descended from the sky. Sharp claws came out and harvested their prey immediately. Wang Zheng had to avoid directly hitting the energy shields. This would consume too much energy and require too many movements. He killed with one move and traveled 1,000 miles. Before the first blow landed, the second energy source had already been thrown out. The instant it got rid of the opponent, it left. The mech pilots who were nearby did not even have time to react. Everyone felt chills down their backs. If this was in real life, his enemies would have been scared witless. Who still dared to say that the Wind God was rubbish? This was the most advanced mech. This was the mech that could be comparable to Atlantis' super mecha. The children's eyes widened. Everyone was fascinated by the silver light that passed through the city. This was a miracle. Everyone had thought that this was a situation where 100 people would kill one person, but in the 20 minutes after the battle started, they realized that this was a rhythm where one mech warrior would kill 100 other mecha. Assemble, get into formation, maintain the formation. Snipers in position, sh*T, what are you scared of? Pair one sniper with one scout for protection. Hong, sh*T, Leader Lu, one is not enough, we cannot block him at all. What, are you asking me to go protect you? Don't be scared of him. Skeleton is just one person. He should be tired by now with very little energy left. As long as we hold on, he will be finished. It's either him or us. Old Deer screamed. Morale was the most important thing. They must not be discouraged. Skeleton was definitely tired. Even if he was a robot, after making so many movements, he should still be tired. Unfortunately, Wang Zheng's situation was getting better and better. To put it more accurately, after almost half an hour of practice, he had reached an optimal state. This was the genetic superiority of an Ability X user. Under the same type of situations, the concentration of the average warrior could not compare. Not to mention that it was Wang Zheng in the cockpit. More than 40 mecha warriors gathered at one block and formed a circle. They stared carefully at the surrounding roofs. sh*T. A streak of silver light could come out from any corner to reap them. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. This was so suffocating, sh*T. Why had he not appeared yet? This situation was too unbearable. Top left, he's here, one person suddenly shouted, then every sniper's lasers aimed at the top left corner. sh*T. It was the sunlight. It shone momentarily into their eyes and blurred their vision. At this moment, footstep sounds traveled from the opposite end of the street. A silver mech appeared from behind a corner. Old Deer rubbed his eyes to make sure that it was not an illusion. Ha ha ha, Skeleton, you finally dared to face us directly. If you have the ability, come and fight me one-on-one. Your big brother is here waiting for you. Old Deer roared directly into the public communication channel. Dominant, mighty, arrogant, the best in the universe had arrived, dear God. As soon as he finished talking, Old Deer asked all his warriors to prepare for battle. Based on his understanding of Skeleton, this guy was going to rush in for the win. As expected, the wind god started to accelerate. The sniper had already taken aim. Zung. The wind god, who was running at the highest speed it could, tossed out two magnetic sources at the same time. Left, right. Some snipers immediately changed directions but realized that the wind god was rushing directly towards them. He did not force his way through. Kill. Feelings that were suppressed burst out in a fury. More than 10 mech warriors rushed over, their beam sabers shining brightly. Hong. Hong, 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 hong. Everyone was silent. This was a massacre. The laser swords could not hit the wind god. Had they forgotten who were they up against? Skeleton was invincible in close combat. Old Deer gritted his teeth. If he was going to outright him, he would go all the way. After eliminating 3 mecha, the wind god was pushed to its limits and flew towards the wall at an angle. At the same time, a magnetic source had been nailed to the ground behind him. He had targeted the sniper in the center. By the time everyone reacted to his movement, the wind god had already landed amongst the crowd. Hong. Another shot hit. Wahaha. I hit him. I hit him. Did you see that? I hit him. One sniper said excitedly. The next moment, he died. Old Deer had already retreated at the first instant. *T. What was that sniper shouting for? What was the use of destroying one layer of a temporary energy shield? The remaining 5 snipers were defeated in one go. 3 magnetic sources were thrown out one after another and the wind god disappeared. A gust of wind blew through, leaving the rest of the Deer Island mech warriors feeling a little bleak. Of the 100 fierce mech warriors, there were only 26 left. At this moment, the warning signs appeared. The wind god descended again from the sky. Dullness began to spread and the players' speed in activating their energy shields slowed. This made it even easier for Wang Zheng. He instantly reaped his opponents. After that, he pulled back the magnetic source and disappeared immediately. It would not be a big problem even if he was hit once. This level of control had reached the state where he could do whatever his heart wished to. This was also the best mech that Wang Zheng had ever used. The pressure of the situation had caused everyone's reaction time to slow down. Hong. Hong. Instantly, 2 mecha died. Was that a sniper rifle shot? The gunshot sounds exposed the location of the wind god. He had picked up a sniper rifle. *T. There was no way to continue this fight. Suddenly, a mech warrior flashed and disappeared into thin air. Was he escaping? You could not surrender in a team fight, but you could still escape. This brother with the ID, ride the mule walk the horse, was quite clever. Then the remaining guards of Old Deer disappeared one by one. The only one left in that empty neighborhood was Old Deer's overlord mech. In front of him, a magnetic source landed, followed closely by the wind god. There was a distance of 30 meters between them. Now they were face to face, one-on-one. Old Deer let out a hysterical laugh. The overlord mech rose into the sky cannon jump. This was his determination to fight a life and death battle with Skeleton. Old Deer was formidable. It must be said that Old Deer was still very domineering. At least he did not escape, and no one would really force him to drink 100 milk cartons. Hong. Everyone was silent. Old Deer did not rush towards Skeleton's wind god. Instead, he flew downwards into a wall. The overlord mech was not bad, but with such a full force rush, the energy shield could not be activated, and without the protection of a special material giant shield, the impact from landing after using the sky rocket cannon was definitely suicide. Sparks flew. Red team win. Wang Zheng was also shocked. What in the world just happened? The audience was silent. It looked as though they were trying to control themselves and stay calm, but yay, celebratory shouts, because they were separated by a wall. Zissou could not make out the sounds. All they could hear were the sounds of cheering. Her eyes reddened again. She never expected this. She did not expect at all for this version of the wind god to be used to such an extent. This was unexpected even for her, the designer. She did not care about the fame. One would know that the wind god and its performance would be Zissou's pride. She had put all her effort into it to prove that a girl could also design a good mech, and she believed in her own talent. Not only was she Yi Bingwen's daughter and the heir to the company, she was also doing this because she had the ability to. *T, *T, *T. I said it. When I first saw the wind god, I knew that it was different. *T. This is OMG's pride. We Earthlings now have our own super mech. If we don't support the wind god, who are we going to support? You bunch of rookies, if you don't know, don't bark. Yeah, now you are barking. Is that it? I was definitely drunk at that time. Now I'm a supporter of OMG. This is the mech that will be leading a mech revolution. Aslan and Atlantis, they are all weak. Earth is the strongest, long live OMG. This was an awesome show. There's no way to win against the wind god. Even Atlantis' displacement positioning is limited, while our movement is simply unlimited. As long as you master it, this is the true invincible god mech for city fights. Movement like the wind. A true wind god, it really is strong. Chen Shu was so excited that he could not speak. The analysis of the video this time was not going to be easy. There were too many things to analyze, from the mech itself, to its control, to the decisions made, especially the various times the strategies of distraction and trapping appeared. When one thought that Skeleton was going to kick the magnetic source towards them, but it was simply a ruse. When one thought Skeleton was escaping, he suddenly retaliated, and when one thought he was retaliating, he would suddenly escape. He moved like the wind, without restraint and as he desired. This was the wind god mech. In addition, the appearance of that thin energy shield brought hope to those with a weaker mastery of mech control. They just had to learn how to use this energy residue and they would be alright if they had to take a hit. This was such a perfect mech. The name, Wind God, was indeed well deserved. After the battle ended, Old Deer returned to the studio. Yao Ailun grinned and looked at Old Deer. He teased, "Leader Deer, don't you need to do something? Forget about the 100 milk cartons, you have to at least give a statement. Were you scared?" Old Deer calmly glanced at Yao Ailun. "Scared? What a joke. Little Ailun, you are wrong. I said very clearly that if Skeleton kills me, I will drink 100 milk cartons. Did he kill me, or did I kill myself?" Yao Ailun was stunned. *T, could he be any more daring? Because of Old Deer's original words, from the literal meaning, he indeed did not get killed by Skeleton. Suicide was suicide. It was no wonder he chose the Overlord. He was well prepared. If the Overlord designer knew that his mech could be used this way, he would die from anger. "Young man, if you are in a hurry, you won't get to eat hot tofu." Skeleton won this time because no one had an understanding of the Wind God mech. Of course, this is also because the CT official introduction wasn't clear. This is obviously a super mech. Why was it not labeled clearly? A super mech is a super mech. A conventional mech is a conventional mech. Using a super mech to fight conventional mecha is no show of ability. Old Deer was calm and he concluded the matter casually. Yao Ailun opened his mouth. He finally understood why Old Deer was known as the Deer God. Looking at Yao Ailun's stunned face, Old Deer smiled and shouted, "Kui Wa, take away these unsightly things. They are blocking my view." Kui Wa moved the milk cartons angrily. Old Deer calmly tidied his hair. "If you want to fight me, you at least need to have a high IQ." Under his calm appearance, it was obvious that there was sweat gathered on Old Deer's forehead. Actually, he was relying entirely on his quick thinking to get through that situation. His original plan was to use the Overlord Sky Cannon to destroy Skeleton. At that moment, he was frightened by the situation. *T, the way Skeleton fought was not humanly possible. When the people around him suddenly started to be destroyed, he had thought about fighting with his teammates and struggle valiantly. For a brief moment, he still cared about his dignity as a commentator. Alas, he did not do so and only ended his life when he was forced into a dead end. This could be considered coming up with a plan in an emergency situation with his quick thinking. Damn, who would have thought that the first military-grade mech designed by OMG would be so strong? Ahem, I have to praise the Wind God mech. This is OMG's first military-grade mech test model and it has already exhibited unparalleled prospects and technology. I must say, a strong dragon cannot overpower the local snake. A fierce dragon cannot cross the river. Let us cheer for the Wind God mech and sing praises for its designer. Old Deer, who had returned to his old professional self, continued to shout Skeleton. Who was Skeleton? He did not know who that person was. Old Deer was persistent on his principles, but it had no effect on others. On major television stations and forums, analysis videos appeared one after another. Only by replaying the battle in slow motion could they experience that type of shock. You could say that Wind God not only had powerful control, but was also a mech that had to be used intelligently. Between advancing and retreating, there was this mysterious balance where retreating would allow them to advance and advancing would allow them to retreat. There was no obvious distinction between advancing and retreating. This broke the concept of conventional mecha. You could say that a unique mech with an original rhythm was born. Skeleton's performance was no doubt amazing. However, it was the Wind God mech and not Skeleton that rose to fame with this battle, as well as its designer. OMG Eris, Yi Zissou, what happened? Where is that guy, Tyrant Su? Wang Jung left the gaming suite and saw Yi Zissou. Her eyes were red. Yi Zissou smiled. She suddenly moved towards Wang Jung and kissed him lightly on the cheek. Thank you. You will be my friend forever. Actually, in Yi Zissou's heart, she wanted to say something else. Wang Jung was stunned for a moment, then he smiled. I believe in you. You were always the best, and actually, you were better than I imagined. The Wind God mech will be world famous. Indeed, Wang Jung really did not expect Yi Zissou to design such a good mech. He was sincerely impressed. To a people whose dreams were to become the best mech warrior, the people who designed super mecha were their idols. The beer is here, brother and sister. Did I miss something? Yan Xiaoshu hurried towards them with beers. Tyrant Su, when have you ever missed out on anything? You came just in time. Congratulations, you are going to become a nouveau riche. Yi Zissou smiled. She was going to indulge herself today. Haha, same to you, same to you. Now I'm set for the rest of my life. Believe in boss and you will achieve immortality. Yan Xiaoshu laughed heartily. He could imagine himself becoming rich with plenty of opportunity to indulge himself in times to come. We should toast Wang Jung and thank him for the contribution he made to our beautiful lives, Yi Zissou said. Wang Jung opened a can of beer and looked at Yan Xiaoshu and Yi Zissou. Actually, the one who should be thankful is me. Without you guys, I might have become a recluse with an inferiority complex right now. As long as you guys don't get tired of me, believe in me. One lifetime, 3 brothers. Boss, stop being so emotional, I can't stand it. Not 3 brothers, we should be 3 sisters, Yi Zissou said. Brothers or sisters, it's all the same. Cheers, being alive was that simple, wasn't it? Wang Jung was the oldest, followed by Yan Xiaoshu. Yi Zissou was the youngest. Hence Wang Jung was no doubt the oldest brother, Yan Xiaoshu became the second brother, and Yi Zissou was the third sister. Mr. Solon, I'm a reporter from the Technology Frontline channel. How accurate is the Wind God's simulation in CT? Solon smiled. You don't have to ask this actually, although CT is not involved in the technical aspects of the mech's development, its effects and specs are consistent up to 99% accurate. That remaining 1% is due to mechanical error. Do you mean to say that the Wind God mech will lead a new trend of mecha design? Hee, this question should be directed at the designer of this mech. I do not have the ability to answer. But I can confirm that Earth, and maybe even the whole solar system, can finally have a flagship mech with advanced capabilities. Thank you for taking part in the interview. Dear audience, who is the designer of this mysterious Wind God? We will reveal it shortly. Thank you for watching. The Skylink of OMG Public Relations Department was flooded with calls. As for the stock market, you can imagine what it will be like after it opens tomorrow morning. Yi Bingwen was still worried. At this moment, his Skylink kept ringing. He did not want to pick up at all. Even in a time like this, there were so many people who would like to put him down. However, this many calls was not normal. Fraser, just what did he want now? Old brother, why are you so anxious? Haha, brother, congratulations. You have to take more care of this brother in future. Fraser laughed. What, congratulations? I'm so worried and anxious now. Ah, don't you know about what? Brother, you have a good daughter. She's amazing. Turn on your television and take a look. Congratulations. Alright, you will definitely be busy. When you are free, let's get together and chat. Yi Bingwen was in a daze as he turned on the television. The Wind God Mech's designer, Yi Zisoo, is currently studying at Ares College. She is a second-year student of the mech department. You would not guess that she is the creator of the Wind God Mech. There is no doubt that the Wind God Mech will become a contender for Mech of the Year. So far, there has not been a comparable mech design. This technology is futuristic, its concept beyond anyone's imagination. Yi Bingwen changed to another channel. As one of the oldest mech companies on Earth, OMG has dedicated many years to mech research. They have accumulated much knowledge, and this Wind God Mech is their first military-grade design. This is an impressive success. They have produced a mech beyond what was expected of the solar system, a mech that could compete with the rest of the Milky Way. This mech is the pride of Earth. He changed to another channel. They were still talking about OMG. He changed to yet another. All of them were talking about OMG. The Wind God Mech possesses flexibility, continuous displacement capability, and it is of the Scout type. It is, for now, other than the Atlantis Mech, the only mech that can perform continuous short-distance high-speed displacement. This is different from the mech compatible only with Atlantis citizens. The Wind God Mech is suitable for humans. This is a show of Earth's technology. What is the most important thing in this world? Imagination. Ares College has always adhered to traditional teaching methods and sufficiently allowed students to explore their imaginations. Yi Zisoo is an outstanding representative for such teaching methods. Yi Zisoo, just barely at the age of 17, the only daughter of the biggest shareholder of OMG, Yi Bingwen, and also the heiress to the Yi family. She is the representative of both intelligence and beauty. She is, after Xiao Fei, another genius girl from Earth. She is currently single. Even the entertainment tabloid channel was paying attention to the situation. Yi Bingwen finally understood. He turned off the television, walked to the wine cabinet, and opened a bottle of red wine. He took out 2 glasses and went into the room. Inside the room was a photo of Yi Bingwen's wife. Our daughter has finally blossomed and showed her talent. Xiao Yu, you may now rest in peace. The powerful career-focused man, Yi Bingwen, could not hold back his tears. Ever since Yi Zisoo's mother died, Yi Bingwen had never remarried. His devotion to love was obviously inherited by Yi Zisoo. Hong! The television in front of Lear exploded into sparks. A pathetic little worm had actually managed to achieve something. OMG's move into the military industry could no longer be blocked. This small company, which in his opinion was not even worth mentioning, actually dared to compete with the Kronos family for a share of the market. Young master, old master is asking for you, Droop said after bowing. This was the first major mistake Lear had made since he took over the family business. Lear stood up slowly, tidied his clothes, and silently nodded. No one could do as they wanted, even on Earth. This world was interesting because anything was possible. For the whole night, no place on Earth was calm. At sunrise, the emotions that were accumulated overnight just began to go crazy. When the market opened, the price of OMG's stock immediately rose to its limit. Technology news, finance news, entertainment news, athletics news, and all the hot topics were directed at OMG and Yi Zisoo. They were unable to directly interview Yi Zisoo herself, but photos of Yi Zisoo in her middle school days were exposed. She was indeed a genius beauty. With Yi Zisoo's youthfulness, she immediately conquered countless fans. What kind of girl could invent such a mech? In an instant, Skeleton's limelight was snatched away. However, this was what Wang Zheng wanted. The most important thing for him now was the IG selection competition. The management of OMG was also surprised by this sudden matter, especially several major shareholders. They could not sleep for the whole night. They were indeed very opposed to Yi Zisu's design. Other than not being interested in this kind of imaginative mech, there was also the issue of the investors' interest. Hence, they did not put much attention to the survey for the future prospects of this mech. If they had invited an ace mech pilot to test it, they might have gotten a different result. Based on their current situation, there was no stopping the soaring of OMG stock prices. Generally speaking, this was a good thing for them, but little Fortune Star Company. It was too late to regret. It was as though they had thrown away a hen that laid golden eggs. At this moment, they already had the urge to jump off a building. There was no doubt that the rich second-generation life of Yan Xiaoshu would continue, and it would only get better. Yi Bingwen was also a master of the business world. Naturally, he would not let go of such a good opportunity, and he quickly attended to the paperwork. If he missed such an opportunity, it would not come again. In Yi Bingwen's business experience, luck was absolutely unreliable. Good fortune depended on the heavens and could not be relied on either. But what about the recent events? Purely luck. No intuition told him that his daughter had and was prepared. This was a comeback. This type of power was too far away for him to even reach. His daughter was so young and had always been under his protection, now she had such power. However, Yi Bingwen would not ask any questions. His daughter would tell him when she wanted to. What he needed to do now was quickly regain lost ground. At the same time, he received another set of news. OMG had a new second biggest shareholder. It was the Little Fortune Star Company who had joined the space project with them. To be honest, although it was a project, Yi Bingwen did not pay much attention to Little Fortune Star. But now, it had become the second largest shareholder of OMG. At the same time, they had assigned Yi Zisu as their representative for many matters. This, Yi Bingwen, who had always been in the business world, had never seen such a thing. Buying so many shares yet not fighting for the authority to operate it. Did they possess such a moral high ground? This was yet another mystery, but Yi Bingwen knew that the answer would not take long to reveal itself.